Hey guys, I see you liked my previous video with the World of Warcraft magic point recreation, so I decided to make more content like that. But this time our Discord art community with over 2000 users had a chance to vote for the next model that I gonna recreate, and Explorers League banner won the race. Challenge accepted. Let's do this. Alright, let's log in and resist not playing the game. We are here only for references. Yeah, sure. So, where this proof could be found? Sure, at nowhere. Okay, we are here. A small photo session to get enough references. And now we are good to go. Now we are in Blender and starting modeling, creating cylinder with 8 verticals. Yeah, it's super low poly, but that's what we have in game. I inspected every pixel on this model, so we're trying to do similar forms, make them super stylized and nice, copying the cylinder all around. And now making the side details, adjusting everything, extruding, moving. Now creating the banner, I created a vertical, followed the forms, then I will fill it, extrude, do the same with this metal detail, verticals. Hey, by the way, if you want to learn make similar models, I have some courses and mentorship for you. Full pipeline, design, modeling, UV maps, texturing and work presentation. Check them out and create your own hand-painted models. Now let's get back. Connect them, extrude. Now the ropes, they're also super low poly, even 6 verticals. And now it's time for UV mapping, and it's super easy here. We have a lot of mirror Y and Z, so making couple seams and unwrapping everything average size for all UVs, playing a little bit of Tetris, starting with similar proportions, bigger to smaller parts, exactly like we are playing Tetris. Now we are in 3D code, adding base colors and starting painting the first color blending pass. Adding a little bit of light information. Imagine that we have a daylight afternoon sun that affects our model. Lighter details on front and upper parts. While on the sides and bottom we go for something more dark, that way making a nice depth on the model. In most cases I use hard brush, it adds some nice texture details, but also the soft brush is in use for painting some nice ambient occlusion. In most cases I use hard brush, it adds some nice texture details, but also the soft brush is in use for painting some nice ambient occlusion and shiny highlights and reflections. And now it's color blending polishing stage. At this part we want to blend everything nicely together, pixel by pixel, till it looks really polished. I'm adding a bit more lighter and darker colors. Now it's much easier to move forward when we have the first color blending pass done. Color blendings are the most time-consuming stages in my workflow, but when we are done with them, it's like almost half of the work done. So what I do, I just pick color, blend it with other color using my pen pressure, then picking, and many times like picking, blending, and it's all about your experience and it's all about your experience and how comfortable you are with your pen. And of course I'm not using any texture projection or some cheating, because our goal is to practice a level up and paint every pixel from scratch. Next stage, the Lineart. So here I paint everything that is like dark lines, some damage, scratches, dents, maybe some ornaments, so everything that is like starts from dark lines, some wooden details, wooden cracks, any metal damage and so on. Also at this stage we're gonna paint the rope details, Sometimes here we can use some eraser tool to adjust what we have painted. And some Lineart for the ropes. We have rope on the mirror, so it's super easy to do. And same we're gonna do for all the ropes we have. Just adding some lines, and that will be some nice details. And here we're gonna mark a place for the boat, painting some bevels. And now it's time to shine. So we are adding the highlights, and the highlights are the brighter lines we want to draw on the corners, angles and around our line arts. Thinking about how the light affects our model, thinking about our materials. Is it shiny, reflective, or maybe it's soft? So painting also depends on the material. At this stage I'm not adding the final, the most bright and shiny highlights, so it's like our base ones. Later on we're gonna add one more layer and do the final super shiny for metals and everything else that needed. And for wood we can do less straight lines, more noisy and softer. Also decided to add a bolt at this stage, because we found about it only at Linearts. Now we're gonna do a bit of polishing, adding brighter details for the ropes, adding darker colors under the upper highlights and smoothing the lower highlights on our texture. That way all the details will have more details and less flat look. In most cases, beginner guys love to skip this part, but it actually adds a lot and sometimes can show the difference between the guy who just started or already painting for many years. Now it's time for adding the ambient occlusion, the painting ambient occlusion. We do this with hands, because the baked one will never work like the one that we gonna paint. For stylize it, it's always nice to adjust your ambient occlusion with hands. So yeah, I choose the soft brush and painting it where the details connect on the sides, making some nice depth effect. Now I created a new layer with color dodge and went for small soft brush, choose some very bright color, and we are adding the final reflections. Now we are going to work with the banner final details, so I'm adding more colors like we already have efforts here, but it's not them, it's only a base for them. So I'm marking everything. Decided to add a little bit more highlights on the sides of our banner. Switch it to this special brush that will help us get the super straight lines. Just drag it and click. And now I'm going to paint the hammer and pickaxe signs. This time painting just with hard brush and adjusting everything later on with the eraser tool. Now I'm going to add more colors to our border, golden border, like make it darker on the bottom and brighter on the upper part. Adding more colors to our sign, blending everything together. Making some damage details and lighter parts, also the highlights. Adding more coast details, more damage. And we're gonna paint here some torn coast effect, using a lighter and darker details to make this depth effect. Now we're gonna polish the hammer and pickaxe, starting with adding darker bevel on lower corners, following by lighter highlights on upper parts. And of course we want to paint our favorite darker outline around the highlights inside. That will add a lot of nice details. And making that for all the parts that we have here. Now we want to add a darker outline around all the golden details we have here. That way our details will be more seen and will have even more depth effect. And following by a little bit of highlights around them. Time to paint folds. I choose a semi-hard semi-soft brush because I feel that here we don't wanna go for super hard brush strokes. Starting with darker color and then adding some brighter color, blending all together with small soft brush. To paint folds over the golden polished details, we need to create color dodge layer that will not mess up all that we painted and just add white information over it. Same with darker ones, but with overlay layer. Couple small adjustments, adding additional reddish color. And let's paint some ambient occlusion here too. A bit more light in the middle, using soft brush on the color dodge layer. And our banner is done. In overall I spent on this model around 8 hours, 40 minutes on modeling and UV maps, everything else went for the textures. Hit some likes and left a comment if you want more videos about World of Warcraft model recreation. Thanks for watching, peace.